Hey, you're watching TVU's Most Wanted. I am Jared, and as promised, Matt from The Classic Crime is joining me via Skype. Skype is a wonderful thing. When you can't hang out with people in person, they're right there for you over the interwebs. Hi, Matt.
Hi.
You look like you're finishing eating something.
Yeah, I was eating some breakfast, a little Go Lean Crunch, a little dry. They didn't pay me to say that, so.
Is that the average breakfast for you?
No, I woke up early this morning, and then I was like, oh, I got a few hours. I'll just go back to sleep, and then I didn't set my alarm, so I'm sort of in a hurry now. It's my hurried breakfast.
That's good. You always want to be rushed. Do you have your coffee? Because usually when we're Skyping, you have coffee.
I made this, I actually made this in the hotel room. This is hotel room coffee.
How is it? Is it good?
Delicious. It's everything I hoped for.
Right. Well, hey, dude, congratulations on releasing a new album. That's kind of a big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, really good, man. I've had a few chances to listen to it all the way through, and it's such a solid new album. So I want to talk to you a little bit about it. First of all, how did you celebrate the release of your first independent album?
We drove from Ogden to Denver.
Wow.
So that was like maybe 8 hours in the van. And we played songs and sang and hung out. And it really wasn't too much of a crazy celebration. But that's where we spent Tuesday.
Okay, so that's what happened on Tuesday on the album release. Now, when you were driving for 8 hours in the van, is that one of the longer drives you've ever done as a band? How does that look? How does that compare, I guess?
We've done like 15-hour drives. Ooh. I think the guys did like 33 hours back from Florida to Seattle once.
52.
52?
Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds awful. That sounds absolutely miserable.
We've driven a good 30 straight before, no problem, like with just stopping for gas and just switching drivers out.
I can't even really fathom driving that far. That sounds not only boring, but like just you would get at each other, right? Like you start arguing with each other.
We fall deeper and deeper in love with every hour passing.
Right. As the smell grows as well. I'm sure the van just continually smells better and better as well for 30 hours.
Totally.
Yeah,
totally.
That's good. All right, we got Matt from The Classic Crime. We're going to talk about the new album, Phoenix. So stick around. It's TVU's Most Wanted. Matt from The Classic Crime is up now. The new album, Phoenix, is out. If you want to get that, shop.tvulive.com. I'd recommend it. It's a favorite of mine from this year so far. Let's talk a little bit about releasing an album independently, man. I guess that was probably a lot of legwork, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things you don't see behind the scenes when you're on a label that gets done, and you see them when you have to do them yourself. So, I mean, we all sort of pitched in and took up tasks on our own and did the best we could, but it's been a lot more work than we expected to do. But we still wouldn't change it. We love, where we're at and being able to enjoy this kind of release and this kind of freedom.
What was the most ridiculous thing you had to do? You didn't see it coming, you had to put in the legwork, and you hated every minute of it.
Just like having to email people for deadlines and stuff. I don't know. I don't like being that guy. So like the art guy, like getting the art back and then getting the assets for like marketing and like all this stuff that you don't think about. You're just like, oh, there's the poster, there's the ad mat for the tour, and then, but you have to do all that.
Right.
Like, and you need it by a certain time because, you're rolling out a release. There's a release date, and if you don't get it, you're sort of dropping the ball, and then there's all this guilt and all that. So, it was a lot of pressure. It just getting like constantly emailing people and trying to be polite to get your stuff on.
So doing that for the first time and knowing this is a little frustrating, did you have to kind of fine tune your skills of persuasion, or did you find yourself, you're just like, you know what? I need this back right now. Were you a jerk about it? Did you have to tune those skills?
No. I felt like I did really good. I felt like in my younger years, I might have just like snapped and gotten some email fight with some people, but I don't know. I felt like I did a little bit better.
Well, the artwork looks fantastic, and the album came out on time, right? So from me not seeing behind the scenes, I think you did a great job.
Yeah, we nick-of-timed it.
So the real question is, after doing one album independently, and I know this is probably a bigger question, but like, just would you think you'd do it again?
Yeah, I think we would do it again. I don't know how or what that might look like. Whether or not we do a Kickstarter, I don't know. It's all up in the air. But I think we've proven to ourselves that we can do it, and I think it's something that we might want to build on. Bring some more people onto the team and see if we can do even a better job than this time. So.
It's TVU's Most Wanted. We're here with Matt McDonald from the Classic Crime. We were just talking about the worst parts of releasing an album independently. Let's talk about the best parts. What was your favorite part about getting to do this all on your own?
Well, I produced it myself. We all spent all the time in the studio ourselves. We had the studio essentially like for 4 months. Well, we spent 2 months in it, and then I took it home and spent 2 months on it, editing and comping and tuning and writing, programming, and that's just more time than we've ever had. And I think that's probably one of the best parts of doing it yourself, is that there's no, when you go with a producer, there's always a deadline. He's got a schedule, and he says, I got a 6-week block here, and you have 6 weeks to make that record. And there's, at the end of 6 weeks, what you have is what you have,
Sure.
There's no going back. And so I think it was cool for me, especially to be able to go back as I'm comping and tuning the vocals and listen, which is like the most painful thing in the world, to do your own vocals. But as I'm listening to that, to be able to hear, little, melodies and parts jump out of the distortion, jump out of, the harmonics that are being played, and then write new parts with that and just add instruments. And it's something that we've always wanted to do, to have a bit more depth, I think.
Sure.
To have it be a little bit more theatrical. And it's a huge switch from our last record, which is pretty much just guitars, bass, drums, and sounds really raw and garagey. That's Vagabonds. That's the whole vibe of that record. The production of this is a lot more wide and deep and spacious, and it's got way more layers than anything we've ever done. And I think that is because we had a good chunk of time to work on it, and that's because we're independent. So
sure.
I'd say that's the best thing.
Yeah. Now, I normally get this idea that when bands release albums, you can always fix something. There's always one more thing you could have done. But like you said, there's like a time crunch, and usually it's like, it is what it is after 6 weeks. Do you feel like this album was the most complete album you guys have made as a band? That you were able to fix like it's done? You know what I mean? You feel like you couldn't have done anything better?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Skip said that there's no song on it he doesn't like. There's nothing he would really change.
Sure.
From his drum parts, and I think it's true of. It's mostly true of. I mean, I'm always super critical, but true of like, I think this is the most complete record as far as like what I wanted it to sound like. If I could change anything, I would have hired a quartet to do real strings.
Okay.
But didn't have time or money for that. But and then I would have maybe like doubled a vocal here or there.
Okay.
Just doubled it. But that's like so tiny compared to the laundry list of things I would change about our previous record.
Sure.
We didn't have time to go back and rehash things. I mean, we had to move forward. It's a deadline. So, and I love all of our records. I just feel like I'm most comfortable with this release as being something that, like, I wouldn't change as much.
Cool. Cool. What's your favorite song on the new album?
It depends on the day. I like a lot of them.
That's a good thing. It's good to like your own album, right? If you said, I don't really like any of them, that'd be bad.
I think I like Dead Rose or The Precipice, just because they sound so much different than anything we've done. And like any musician or artist, like, you ask them what the best thing they've done is, it's always whatever they've recently done. It's the new thing. And
sure.
For us, I think that's true. For me, it's like any sort of new sound that I come up with that I feel like I'm fairly successful at making happen. I like it.
Right on.
everything that I can do, I know I can do, so I don't like it as much.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm a big fan of Glass Houses. I think that's one of my favorite tracks on the album.
That's funny because that's something that we can do. I love the track, and like I remember when we played it for Alan, he didn't really like it as much, and he's like, it just seems so like, typical classic crime. That's what we need, though. We need at least one or two typical classic crime songs.
Sure. Not that I don't like the whole album. It's fantastic, man. It's absolutely killer. All right, we're gonna wrap things up with Matt from the Classic Crime coming up in just a couple minutes. This is Matt from the Classic Crime. The new album Phoenix is out, and it is so good. If you want to get that, again, shop.tvulive.com is where you can pick that up. So, Matt, what do you guys got coming up? You guys just did this Kickstarter tour. How was that?
Well, we're actually still on it.
In the middle of it. Okay.
Yeah. We're heading back west now. We're sort of like an East Coast, a little bit of the Midwest. And then in 2013, which is next year, we'll hopefully go out to the East Coast and spend some time to our, playing around there in probably another 3-4 weeks.
Cool.
So that's basically what we have planned right now. If anything else pops up, that's cool. We're cool with it, but we're just sort of planning our own tours to make it work.
Sure. So you got a couple months then that you're not going to have anything to do over the winter. That's what are you going to be filling that time with?
Making music.
Nice. No taking a break for you. Just released an album. I'm going to start writing another one, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm moving to a house where I have a legitimate basement, and I'll have a legitimate basement studio. I'll be out of the living room.
Nice.
So I'll probably set up and then start writing and recording new vocal few, and
right on.
Who knows what'll happen? Probably new classic crime too.
Cool, very cool. So if people want to see you on the end of this Kickstarter tour, or if they want to, keep up, what's the best way to do that?
Facebook, our events page, or our Bands in Town page, anything like that. Yeah, if all of the tickets links are there and all of the info's on our Facebook. So
cool.
We'll be coming through, Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Mesa, and back up the coast. So
cool. Well, if you want details, of course, you can link up at TVUlive.com. Matt, thanks for joining me on the show. Again, the album's awesome, man. Really, really well done. Love it.
Thank you, guys.